content creator myself that I come across something made by an independent YouTuber that's like, from scratch, they've designed things themselves or they made their own story that really impresses me. So when I decided to finally watch the Spongebob anime, oh, was I in for a treat. If you haven't yet seen it, the Spongebob anime is a original animation created by YouTuber Narmak, where SpongeBob is kind of adapted into the style of an anime, and I believe only one episode is out right now, which is the Bubble Bass arc, where SpongeBob takes on Bubble Bass in a way that's pretty different from the show, but the general plot lines are still kind of there. I became aware of the SpongeBob anime for two main reasons. One, the huge controversy surrounding its being taken down and now put back up, which is why I'm reshooting this video. If they take it down again, I'm not reshooting this. And then the other reason I became aware of it was because one of my favorite YouTubers, Critical, actually covered the SpongeBob anime in one of his videos. I was fully confident that the SpongeBob anime was taken down due to copyright infringement, but this was not the case. This is what Narmak says. Hi guys, my SpongeBob anime episode 1 was removed from YouTube. The reasoning, YouTube believes it was directed towards younger minors and families. I now have 2 strikes on my channel. Can I first just say how ridiculous it is that YouTube took this down for not being friendly to minors, because they implemented a system when you upload a video where you can mark, no, it's not made for kids, or yes, it's made for kids. So, does that mean nothing? Does that not matter? Because clearly Narmak states that they marked it as not being safe for kids. So if we use your system, YouTube, that you implemented to avoid stuff like this happening, and then you still take our video down, what's the point of having the system there in the first place? Thankfully, eventually the episode got put back up because, Narmak worked 6 months on this anime. It's a lot of hard work, so it got put back up eventually. Now, before I mentioned that I was surprised it was not taken down by copyright, I feel like I should expand upon that. The reason I say that it shocks me is because I'm not an expert in copyright law. I'm not a copyright lawyer. But from knowing what I know, I took a course at Emerson College, where I went to college, that had me and my classmates study copyright law. So I know the basics, quite a few things about like the basics and like the most crucial things to know about copyright law as a content creator. And in watching the SpongeBob anime, I saw a lot of red flags that came at risk of violating copyright law as I know it. So, I could review it as an anime. I think it's good. I think there's a lot of talent behind what was made. I think Narmak is a good animator. But I would rather use this as a lens to kind of point out the gray areas of copyright law, things you have to be careful about when you're making parodies or adaptations of, pre-existing work and work that's already being held as a copyright, in this case SpongeBob, by other companies. So here we go. Today we're going to use the SpongeBob anime as a case study of fair use policies and as a study of just generic copyright law and what you can get away with and what you can't get away with. First things first, I keep mentioning these red flags. What are they? What are the things that I noticed while watching the SpongeBob anime that I saw as possibly violating copyright law? The first thing was that it uses a lot of original plot points from the original SpongeBob cartoons. When you copyright a work, you're also copyrighting the story as you wrote it, the script as you wrote it. You're copyrighting the characters as they exist in your world, your version of the world. There's quite a few things you're copyrighting. You're just not just copyrighting the cartoon. So the story beats, there are quite a few of them that are found in the anime. Some of them are the whole, it's not a boulder, it's a rock joke. SpongeBob, unable to give Bubble Bass a Krabby Patty with pickles. The secret formula and everybody under the sun being out to get Mr. Krabs' secret formula. The fact that Squidward can't play the clarinet. and many more, but those are the main ones I noticed. Another red flag and another thing that could be considered violating the copyright of the cartoon is just simply using the original characters. Using the name and likeness of the characters. Now here's the thing, this is where it gets complicated, is with fair use, the word transformative is key. And what I will say is that the characters Spongebob, Sandy, Squidward, even Mr. Krabs, even Spongebob, they're all used as they were in the original cartoons. They all look the same. They all have around the same design with a little bit of different like art style. But their characters are different. The way they act is different. The way they speak is different. Patrick isn't just, you know, the stupid starfish. He actually speaks like very stoically.
行かせてやれ、サンディ。でも、スポンジボブとイカルドはいわば同じコインの表と裏。
But the thing is again, this is really gray as to whether that's transformative enough. I know that using someone's name and likeness can be very tricky, especially when you're doing it with an actual person. If you're using someone's name and likeness, you really just have to use things in the public domain unless you have their consent and their permission to, you know, say certain facts about someone. It's tricky, and I'm not 100% sure how that translates to characters that you would find in a story. From my understanding, you can't make your own work and use all of the characters from another piece of copyrighted work unless someone can find something that says otherwise. I'm pretty sure unless you have permission from the copyright owner, this is infringement. Similar to using the same characters, this anime made by Narmak also uses the same world of Bikini Bottom and settings such as the Krusty Krab, Jellyfish Fields, all these, you know, settings. We don't see them, you know, we don't see like SpongeBob's house, we don't see everything, but everything in the anime looks pretty similar, like the Krusty Krab, for example. The Krusty Krab in the anime is almost a carbon copy to the one in the original cartoons. Again, the designs and the art style is a little bit different, but the similarity is there. It's basically a 95% carbon copy. And then the name of it, the SpongeBob SquarePants anime, the same title as the cartoon, SpongeBob SquarePants. They just, you know, Narmak added anime on the end. So you're also using the title of the show, that's the brand of SpongeBob. You're using the brand of SpongeBob to make your anime. This, I am 99% sure, is a copyright infringement. You would need explicit permission from Nickelodeon to do this. Now, all of these things I've said before, these red flags, these things that could be infringing or that pretty much are infringing, are all assumed to be infringing under the grounds that the anime isn't transformative and isn't protected by the fair use policies. Usually we quote fair use policy in law to explain why, you know, we used a 20-second clip from a movie in our videos. There's three things that kind of constitute fair use: commentary, criticism, and parody. Commentary and criticism are fairly easy to understand. If you're like me and you do movie reviews and you're reviewing a movie, fair use law allows you to use footage from the movie to allow yourself to critique it. So if I want to say that the main actor was bad, I have to use examples of the main actor being bad at acting to, you know, back up the points I'm making. Otherwise, you're just taking my word for it. And the criticism has to be transformative. It has to introduce a wholly new point that was not found in the original work. You have to be pointing out something that is completely original from the movie. And commentary is the same thing. You know, if you're going to make a reaction video on, you know, another video being made, you have to provide a unique insight on the clip that you are commentating over that cannot be found in the original work.
Obviously, nobody at this game. They can barely sell a fucking hot dog. Oh my goodness, quick check over to first and a quick check to the cock.
For those of you that don't know the context behind this, the Astros beat the Dodgers in the World Series while they were cheating, so Joe Kelly's on the mound.
The tricky one is the third one, parody. Parody doesn't just mean that you have to put jokes in to your video. You know, it goes a little bit deeper than that. Parody uses imitation of an original art style in an exaggerated manner for comedic effect, and this is usually done to provide like a deeper, you know, commentary or criticism of the original work. For example, if you have a show, You can't just have, Gandalf the wizard come into like the living room during a scene and slip on some ice and fall and hurt himself and people laugh because, people just for some reason laugh at injury jokes. Unless the character of Gandalf is known for being, so clumsy and always slipping on stuff and hurting himself, there's no deep commentary being made there. There's no deep insight being made as a result of that parody. So when it comes to the SpongeBob anime, it doesn't really provide any criticisms against SpongeBob. It just kind of retells the story in a different way through the lens of what an anime would look like. There's no real commentary being made that, I could see. And in terms of parody, it's not really exaggerated for comedic effect. Now, there are funny moments throughout the anime.
そしてなんとも言えぬ顔がまたかっこいい
But it's important to not get funny moments confused with parody. Comedy doesn't inherently mean parody. While I do think that it is an exaggerated work, I don't think it's exaggerated for comedic effect. I think it's exaggerated because that's how animes are, Like how characters talk in anime, how characters move in anime. It's always exaggerated, but that doesn't make it a parody. So that being said, from what we've analyzed, the SpongeBob anime doesn't really fall under fair use protections. Now, this doesn't mean that the anime isn't transformative, because the thing is, it is transformative to some degree. But the key thing to analyze is whether that transformative nature of the work aligns with fair use law, fair use protections, and copyright law. Being curious as to how I should define the SpongeBob anime, because I couldn't define it using fair use protections, I did a little digging, and the thing that I found, which best classifies what I think the SpongeBob anime is a derivative work. More specifically, an adaptation. Because what Narmak is doing is they're taking the original cartoon and the stories from the original cartoon and adapting it to a different style into an anime. Because the story is essentially the same, it's just told in a different way through different character performances, with a little bit of like fighting trickled in, and with a little different of an art style. Now, the key thing in looking up a derivative work for me was to find out if you don't own the copyright to something, do you have the right to prepare a derivative work? Do you have the right to make something that's an adaptation or a derivative work from another thing? And there was one thing I came upon, which was called the right to prepare a derivative work. I'm gonna read it right now. This is what it says. Only the owner of copyright in a work has the right to prepare or to authorize someone else to create an adaptation of that work. We've looked at fair use law, and it doesn't appear that the SpongeBob anime aligns with that. We've looked at derivative works. It doesn't appear that it aligns with that. And then we looked at just simple copyright law, and it has some red flags that personally I see probably violate copyright laws as I understand them. Now, I'm not trying to make a hit or, trying to get the SpongeBob anime taken down. In fact, I kind of want the opposite. I kind of want to see more of, the stories of SpongeBob, how they could be translated to an anime. I want to see the hash-slinging slasher in anime form. But I think it's important to point these things out when we see them, especially in things that we love, because here's the thing. I don't want a content creator who has a lot of talent, who has a lot of, good ideas, and can make animations in such an amazing way that Narmak can, to spend 7 months on an adaptation of like a TV show. Like, for example, if someone made an anime of like, I don't know, just think of like any of your favorite like childhood cartoons. If someone made an anime of your favorite childhood cartoon, and all of a sudden, the company that made the cartoon sees it, they see that it violates this, and this copyright law, even if the person did not intend on doing it. That's another thing. I'm pretty sure that Narmak did not intend to copyright infringe anything. But if a company that owns the copyright of a cartoon sees you making something using the likeness of the cartoon, using the characters from the cartoon, using a lot of things from the cartoon that are protected under copyright, and they don't like the work, they're gonna do everything they can to take it down. And then all that hard work goes down to nothing. and then maybe that person gets discouraged. Maybe that person's like Narmak has 2 copyright strikes on their channel. The last thing I would want is a talented content creator to stop making content on YouTube because companies are striking their content. And so that's why today I decided to use the SpongeBob anime as a lens to explore copyright law and maybe have people understand some things that they didn't understand before. If you do want to make a parody of something that you love, like a video game you love or a movie you love, watch the Dead by Daylight parody made by Samination. It pokes fun at several scary killer characters, making them look incredibly goofy.
Oh, not again! Could somebody help me? Oh, never mind. False alarm.
It makes commentary and criticisms about the state of the game, about how like survivors have their own like unofficial set of rules, that when a killer does something, they get angry.
Dash left and you have to play nice now. Do what? Oh, it's all here in the Survivor's Rulebook for Killers.
Definitely watch those videos if you want to make a parody yourself. They are the perfect example of a parody. Now the good thing is you can do what Narmak is doing if you have permission from the copyright holder. So I'm pretty sure Narmak didn't do this, but if you like reached out to Nickelodeon and said like, hey, like I am interested, I'm like, you know, an animator, I'm interested in making my own little like a fan series in like anime style about, you know, SpongeBob and retell it through like the lens of an anime, would I be able to get permission for this? And I don't know, maybe by some miracle of God, they come back and say, yeah, sure, you know, that could be kind of cool to see. And you get permission for them, then you're in the clear. That was actually in the whole derivative work things, was that if the copyright holder gives you permission to make an adaptation, then you're fine. But what I really wanted to point out today was that you have to be really careful when you're making an adaptation or parody. If you're taking a pre-existing work and adapting it, you know, using the same characters, using the same world. If you're making an animated series about a movie that is, you know, retelling the events through a different lens, look up the laws that I mentioned in this video. Like, educate yourself on copyright law, look up copyright law, look into these things. This way you don't put in months of work into something and then all of a sudden it gets copyright striked and taken down. To wrap this all up, let's just discuss what the SpongeBob anime could do to better be bulletproof against, you know, getting copyright striked or having a lawsuit occurred or copyright, you know, whatever, infringing. So the first thing that they could do is keep the same art style, but maybe use different settings. For example, maybe show parts of Bikini Bottom that we've never seen before. Maybe set it in the town next to Bikini Bottom. Because the thing is, you have to come up with some original stuff. And the problem with the original one is that the characters aren't original, the settings aren't original, some of the story beats aren't original. So while it is transformative, it also isn't in some areas. So it's transformative in some areas and also not transformative in others. Another thing that you could do is to either not use any of the original characters or have most of your cast be new characters or, you know, original unique characters. Because the thing is, when you use SpongeBob, Patrick, Sandy, using their names, their exact names from the cartoon, and then using the exact same look of the characters, it's it creates a red flag. If the main character had been SpongeBob's cousin and all of the other side characters were, you know, original, or like maybe like there was 1 or 2 original characters in the show that didn't have a lot of screen time or something, then it would have been a lot more bulletproof. Also, I didn't mention this before, but the whole selling merchandise thing, if you're making a derivative work of something that's already copyrighted, probably don't sell merchandise with the original characters in their name and likeness on your merch. That's definitely something that Narmak could face backlash against from Nickelodeon. Again, I hope they don't, but you have to understand that's not really protected under fair use. And the last thing that could have been done is just to make the anime a parody. You know, make it incredibly exaggerated, make it actually very humorous, have it be an anime, but have it be like over the top and funny. That's something that could have been done. Or you could have, you know, portrayed the characters in a way that provides a deeper layer of commentary against the original characters of the cartoon. So anyways, that is all I wanted to talk about today regarding copyright law in regards to the SpongeBob anime. Everybody, let's take a moment to cross our fingers and pray that this thing continues to be available on YouTube, and to pray that Nickelodeon doesn't see this video and actually thinks, hey, maybe we should copyright strike that video. Hopefully this video gave you a better understanding of copyright law, of what you can and can't do when you're making an adaptation or derivative work off of something that's already copyrighted, because that's very tricky territory. As content creators, we have to protect ourselves against the big companies, because the thing is, with fair use laws and copyright laws, while they do protect us from the big companies, you know, them stealing our content, it also protects the big companies from us using theirs and using the name and likeness of their characters, of the settings in their stories and beats in their stories and original work that they made. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you want me to do any more, copyright analysis or copyright breakdowns of any other works. And I'll see you all in the next video, which hopefully will be a movie review. But take care, everybody. Have a good day.